Okay. Tag Dave Hyde. Dave Hyde does not have Instagram.
And there we go.
I do have it. I just don't use it.
All right, hold on. One sip of water. Let me take my phones off.
Phone is off.
Audio is live, and I'll check this camera one last time here. Get started.
All right.
You need a big Rick Ross.
Rick Ross.
Doesn't he have a big cross?
This is my big cross.
Oh, he's got a huge one, though.
No, I don't have a huge one. Okay. Yeah, hold on. Ready now.
All right, let's start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to X's and Omar, the Halloween edition. I am Pastor Kelly. I am here to preach to you about the Finn Savior who is coming back on November 9th. And this is Dave Hyde, Sun Sentinel columnist and swashbuckler.
You brought up the Savior already. You're going there, Pastor.
Listen.
Wait, you're a priest, not a pastor, is it right?
I don't know.
It's Halloween.
It's Halloween, and we are here doing X's and Omar with the Sun Sentinel. This season has been a rough one, extremely scary, especially if you don't realize that it was intentionally done. And it's about the tank. Last week, 27-14 Monday night loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Dolphins showed you a rousing 14-0 start, Dave Hyde, and then gave up 27 straight points, which began with a field goal. But then we had the wonderful, phenomenal 3rd and 20 situation, which to me provides all the evidence that you need that everybody is in on the tank.
They needed a play to get back onto the track, right?
No.
Yes,
Dave.
They needed a play, and they got it.
26 seconds left. All they had to do
they
was
got
preserve
a call
the lead.
from their defensive coordinator that got them back on track. What the season's about?
Oh, okay. You mean
right?
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now
yes.
you see where I'm going with this,
okay.
right? I mean, because look, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I'm starting to wonder what's going on. That play call, that defensive play call, was so ridiculous. And Xavier Howard was so far away from the guy he had to cover that if Mason Rudolph could not only make the pass but get his whole game and whole team back on track going into the second half, then they don't belong on the same field.
He looked horrible. Mason Rudolph looked horrible. Xavier Howard was shutting down Juju Schuster-Smith or whatever his name is, an elite receiver. And then Xavier Howard suffers a knee injury, and he's legitimately wearing a compression sleeve on his left knee, and he's shut down for the season, Dave. Interesting, isn't it?
Well, it's amazing how he's going to join Aqib Talib on the injured list.
Oh, yeah.
There it
Your
goes.
two best, probably two.
Look, if there was any pretense over what this season's about, but that game, and a lot of things leading up to it, but that play call kind of filtered everything into, okay, we get it. Now anybody who doesn't understand what's going on now, it's on you.
I had fear. I had concern, because I really do think that the Cincinnati Bengals, which just switched to Ryan Finley as their starting quarterback, which makes it worse from Andy Dalton, they're clearly tanking. Are we in agreement here? They have joined the tank crusade. They want to be bad. I think it's going to require 0-16.
And I will require, because right behind them is Atlanta. Atlanta's 1-16. They're dumping players. They're deciding we're going to join the tank brigade. So, look, the Dolphins, let's face it, they deserve this, don't they?
Absolutely.
They were in it from the start.
Listen.
They have really
All these other teams are late to the party. We've been doing this from day one.
They had a plan, and they stuck to it.
Absolutely. And don't come late to the plan. This tank belongs to us. Tua, the Savior, belongs to Miami.
So, Tua, you're still going. See, I'm letting it come to. Let him come to us if it's definitely Tua.
We shall see. But we saw some trades. The Miami Dolphins continue to pick up assets or draft picks for players that other teams might covet. Kenyon Drake was traded to the Arizona Cardinals for a 6th-round pick, Dave, that could potentially turn into a 5th-round pick. The Dolphins now have 14 draft picks because they also picked up Aqib Talib. In a salary dump from the Los Angeles Rams, the Dolphins are eating $4 million of Aqib Talib's contract. They're saying, hey, Aqib, you could stay in California and rehab Don't worry about coming here.
You're not part of us.
You're not part of what
And
we're
I
doing.
keep saying, I don't want to be there. What are you, crazy?
He would certainly like the tax benefits, and I would say don't rule him out to
Well,
join
he
this
doesn't have to
team.
be here to get the tax benefits.
That's true.
His
employer,
his address of employment is out in Davie, and so he'll get, rather than 13% out in California, he'll be saying 0% tax. I think that comes to over $500,000 of his contract. That's a pretty good bonus for Aqib Talib.
But I would say don't rule him out to be part of this organization's future. I mean,
He's 34 next year, Omar. They're going young.
He's-
All of a sudden, they're not going to be winning 2 or 3 more years after that.
I don't think
so he's
it's
35, 36.
I don't think it's a 3-year plan, Dave. I could put together a team right now.
To do what?
To compete, get to 9
To
and
go
7.
9 and 7, which is
A starting
right.
point for the Savior, baby. We'll get to our first question, which comes from Tyson. How is Mark Walton going to do as the leading back? Can Ballage get it together? Can Ballage and Walton carry this load? Dave.
Well, let's give it the rest of the season because there's no other choice at this point, okay? But you saw him struggle as the lead back against Pittsburgh. You've seen some good plays from him. I haven't seen anything that says he's that bellwether back, that guy who can carry 15, 20 times a game and put an offense on his shoulder when he needs. He can be a complimentary back, mate. We'll see. He's going to get the chance. So
He will certainly get the chance, but I will tell you this. The Jets put Le'Veon Bell on the market. I know for a fact that Adam Gase is not a big component of one back being the full workhorse.
nobody is anymore, though, are they?
Yeah.
I mean,
I-
other than
Le'Veon Bell was on the market, and I think that the Dolphins would be wise to explore that next offseason. The freight has already been paid by the Jets. Le'Veon Bell, you add him to the offense, you take some you fortify your offensive line, you take some pressure off your rookie quarterback, and I really think that that's the right move for Miami.
Well,
You've got 14 draft picks. You don't need all of them.
let's go through Le'Veon Bell's history. Pittsburgh, a blue
Collar City.
collar city, but a first prize franchise, right? A top franchise, which knows how to grade. They didn't want him anymore.
No, they wanted him. They didn't want him.
In a certain way, they wanted. They didn't want to pay the big freight for him, right? And I would be very scared and skeptical if the Dolphins get somebody like him.
It'll be interesting to see what they do in the backfield, but Mark Walton and Kalen Ballage, they do have the opportunity to prove what they can do in this situation, just like everybody else.
Just
on
like
this
all the
roster does.
cornerbacks out there have all these names we don't even know.
yeah.
Or they sign somebody while we're talking here that's going to start on Sunday.
Yeah,
Could be.
probably. There's a very good chance of that. Justin Dunker asks, what are the goals for the second half of the season for the Miami Dolphins?
To find a handful of players and have them develop who are going to help you next year, okay? And you've seen some of them start to come forward. You know, on the offensive line, there's a couple guys. Preston Williams there, Mike Gesicki. But I mean,
He's trending upwards.
Look, you want Christian Wilkins to start
playing,
having
well,
some impact.
Yes, okay, that's a good word
and
for
the
it.
second half of a rookie season will be so. That's individual play, really.
You're right. This season is about young players who are trending up, continuing to develop. I'm curious what to do and how to think about the evaluation of these coaches, because here's my thought process on the 3rd and 20 play. Either Patrick Graham is in on this or he's incompetent. Your choice. You pick one.
I completely agree that if you're, and there's been a few other calls like
Oh,
that.
no, yes.
And to your credit, you brought them up.
I can show you about 5 plays throughout the year that I'm saying, and they're all defensively, that I'm all saying WTF.
Well, the offense isn't scoring any points. It's hard to know whether it's play calls or. But I agree with you that either they saw Pittsburgh needs a play to help them out to get started and to get we can't win this game.
Yes.
Or your head scratching say an NFL defensive coordinator really blitzed 8 and dropped back 3 when one's completely out of position
And
in a game in a situation that called for.
And here's the beauty of it. The players try to justify it and explain it by saying, hey, we were trying to get them out of field goal position. Well, technically, field goal position would have been them getting 10 more yards to kick a 55-yard field goal. You gave them 20 yards free. No defender was within 20 yards. So Didn't make any sense, Dave.
They doubled down on the senseless. I agree.
If you are not a tanker, then you have to question why.
Can they? Do you want these guys?
Yes,
on
absolutely.
your defense? I agree
but
with
if
that.
you are a tanker, thank you.
I think they can't be that in common. Mike wants to know, Omar, is the defensive line the biggest need on defense?
Oh, absolutely, no question about it. While Taco Charlton has been impressive in terms of the 4 sacks he's contributed, show me the play where he's done what Cameron Wake and Jason Taylor and even Joey Porter have done, where he's taken an offensive tackle, beat him one-on-one with a forearm shiver or a stiff arm, and created separation to get to the quarterback. I see him cleaning up plays and getting sacks. I don't see him making plays. And anybody else. Let's get with the defensive tackles. Godchow and Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins contributed 18 tackles in 6 games. Is that what you expected from your first-round pick?
And none of them are where you say, oh, yeah, that play he made shows you. They're not impactful plays. And as Pittsburgh showed, a physical team will run over this front 7.
I asked the question to head coach Brian Flores because he's talked all offseason about having a tough, smart, physical team. Okay, disciplined as well. They're disciplined. They're second in the NFL in penalties. Smart, we certainly can't evaluate that right now. Toughness. They are a soft team, just like they've been under Adam Gase, just like they've been under Joe Philbin. The last tough team that we had was the Tony Sperano Dolphins.
2008.
2011. They were physical. This team, it's punked anytime they play a physical team. Pittsburgh was a physical team. They punked them. Baltimore was a physical team. They punked them.
The problem is, okay, are they being run over out of design, or is this just talent? Because let's face it, the coaches, the roster is ridiculous. We've gone through this before.
The roster's bad. The roster's full of players who are happy to be in the NFL, thanking God for this opportunity. They hope to make a play that'll make them consider them realistic, legitimate NFL players.
And that's what the season's about.
Absolutely.
If you add everything together, so it's hard for me to get too worked up over what I want is individual talent. I want 10 guys you can say, okay, we can start these guys and they'll help.
They're a starting block.
Not stars, but help.
Yes, definitely. We're not seeing that much, though.
Okay, Omar, we're going to play a Halloween special because we are, look, Omar wrote me about 3 weeks ago, get ready for your Halloween costume. Get ready. Are you ready? Or no. So this morning I'm running out the door, running to the store, trying to find a
my God,
costume,
this is a
Omar.
last-minute costume,
It's
Dave?
terrible.
We planned X's and O's.
I know.
Well, you got to do better, Dave.
We're going to play Trick or Treat. Ryan Fitzpatrick will lead Miami to too many wins and cost the franchise the #1 pick. Let's set the rules here. Trick meaning you agree, or treat meaning
disagree. I mean that is a trick. It's scary. It concerns me. I know what he showed you in the first half is what he can do. What he showed you in the second half is what he can do.
That's his career.
Exactly.
Right?
But the offensive line fell apart on him. If they hadn't, and the running game was non-existent. If you had a running game and the offensive line didn't fall apart on you, you might have seen a Matt Moore-esque 28-point blowout. And that concerns me. It creates fear, Dave.
Oh, Omar, come on. Now, what should create fear is Ryan Fitzpatrick playing a schedule coming up. Now, the Dolphins had a tough schedule the first half of the year.
Yes.
Okay, assuming, we'll say this really doesn't start the second half, but there's a split in the schedule now. The Jets twice, the Bengals, the Giants. You play some teams that are not good.
Yeah.
And
some of them are
me.
in the same neighborhood as you trying to, I think, we don't have to worry about the Jets. Adam Gase's ego will never allow that.
I don't think they're good enough to.
They are actually.
Adam Gase can have the biggest ego in the world. I still haven't seen him develop a quarterback at all.
His offense is actually worse than the Miami Dolphins offense, if you can imagine that.
Statistically
worse. That's literally impossible.
The quarterback whisperer, come on. Okay, Omar, Mark Walton, trick or treat, can be the Dolphins' featured back moving forward.
I think this is a treat. I am not I'm not down on Mark Walton. I think he's got the vision. I think he's got the talent. I just don't know if he has the durability to be a featured back. But could I see Mark Walton being a 1,000-yard back in the NFL? Can I see him being a guy who threatens you catching passes along with running the football? Absolutely. He did that at University of Miami. He did that at University of Miami when they were actually good that one year this decade. So I do believe that Mark Walton can be a treat.
I think Mark Walton can be a back in the way the modern NFL has backs. He's not going to be, there are 5 teams that have the quintessential workhorse back, or want to have that in the Rams case with Gurley being hurt. And the rest of them, it's by committee. And if you put Mark Walton on that committee, I'm fine with that, depending on who the other guys are, how their talents mesh, and all that. But I see that. Okay, Omar, trick or treat. Devontae Parker will finally play a full healthy season.
I think that is a trick. If we've looked at the course of his entire career, even going back to college, Devontae Parker has never been healthy.
7 games, Omar.
I know.
3 touchdowns.
And knock on wood. Devontae Parker looks like the first-round talent that he was supposed to be. Now the question is, how long will that last? It's, for Devontae Parker to be completely healthy for 7 games, you can consider yourself fortunate. You can consider yourself lucky. Now, do I think it'll last? Absolutely not.
No, we've seen 4 years of it.
Yeah.
Why should we think
going back to his
year
final
5
2 years at Louisville?
Right. Why should this year be any differently? We can hope. But okay, final trick or treat, Omar. And I still don't understand the trick or the treat, but I like your answers.
Do you understand Halloween's trick or treat?
No.
Okay.
Good
well,
point.
what's different?
But it's a sleight of hand much of this season anyway. So, all right, Steve Ross gets to spend $100 million this offseason to improve the Dolphins roster.
I think that's a treat, Dave. Listen, Steve Ross has often said free agency is his time to get in the game. He can't evaluate talent. He can't, what he can do is write checks, Dave, and write very big checks. He likes his reputation as the big spender in the NFL. He likes that every agent wants the Dolphins at the table negotiating because the money grows. Steve Ross likes that reputation because it gets him in the door for every deal. I remember, here's my favorite Steve Ross story. He told me this story the first day of training camp, Jarvis Landry's draft year. He's all excited about Jarvis Landry. Oh, he's going to be special. He's going to be special. And I said, Steve, calm down for a minute.
You did not say that.
You were there. I said, Steve, the Sentinel wants me to ask you about your purchase of the W Hotel. And he goes, that's a distressed sale. They gave me a good price. I just said, throw it in. I was like, you bought a hotel for $68 million. It's just throw it in the bag. He wants to spend money.
He just bought a 5th-round draft pick for $4 million. A 5th-round draft pick.
The whole contract won't be worth $4 million.
I mean, that is the craziest. $4 million. Can you imagine Chris Greer, the GM? Steve, well, we have this deal. We can get Aqib Talib. Oh, Aqib Talib, that's a good play. Well, he's hurt all year.
And we don't really plan for him to play for us.
He's 34. Oh, but we can get a 5th-round draft pick. That's great.
How much
for $4 million. Oh, okay. No problem.
How do you not love that owner? Like, it doesn't matter what it costs. He's like, throw it in the bag. It's crazy. But I let him have the opportunity. I know Chris Greer said he's not going to spend and be aggressive in free agency. And great, that's good. But after you've done what you've done this season, you got to build a whole new team.
You do, but again, this gets back to the fundamental idea of this season, which the easy part's tearing it down.
Okay.
Okay,
yes.
And they have torn it down.
Yeah.
Okay, and this guy goes here, this guy goes. So now
the foundational pieces are gone too.
Everything's gone.
Yes.
Everything, everyone.
You've got like one.
Can they build it up? Can they? None of these guys have ever, and few people in the NFL ever have put a team from scratch. And not expansion scratch. Where you got nothing but draft picks and money.
Yeah.
Okay, and the money is overrated.
That is
you
true.
Look at the Browns. They spend a lot of money. It's just bringing in talent is just bringing in talent. It's not making a team. Okay, Omar. Joe W., one of our favorite, asks, do you believe Chris Greer and the team have a philosophy on how to build a winning football team, which is sort of what we were just addressing?
Yeah, but I don't think they were very good at it. Chris Greer talked all offseason about building the trenches. Look at this offensive line. Look at this defensive line. You know I'm a trench guy. Both are a disaster. If this was you executing year one of your plan, you failed. It's horrible. Your defensive line is soft. Your offensive line, good God, even though Julian Davenport comes back from IR, the starting right tackle, and he could potentially play later on in the year against the Bills, you know, and maybe you move Jesse Davis to right guard. Your offensive line's a hot mess, Dave.
Yeah, and it scares me a little when, as we say, oh, they have 100 million plus to
110.
spend. You know, we said that about the Jets last year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're gonna look at all the money they got to spend in draft picks. They're 1-6 right now. They spend it on ridiculous items.
They got good players.
And Joe W. brings up a question which I had. What's the plan moving forward? How are they going to build? And it's, well, we got draft picks. Okay, but how are you going to make all the pieces fit together and time this draft up with the next one, get the free agent money, get the right people? That's a tall order for anybody.
I got a plan, but we'll talk about that later on in November because we got to save something for the rest of the year.
A little teaser.
Yeah, we got to save something for the rest of the year on X's No More.
Around Turkey Day, maybe, rather than Halloween. Okay, question 5 comes from Fernando. I fully understand Tua is the target. However, the potential still exists the Bengals can secure the top pick. If the Bengals end up with the top pick and are unwilling to trade down, how would you approach the 2020 draft picking at number 2?
Well, let's start with this. I am firmly entrenched on the fact that Tua Tagovailoa is the savior for the Miami Dolphins. Knee injury, I don't care if he plays another snap in college football.
In fact, it'd be better if he did it.
Yes, it would be better if he didn't play, but I do need to see that November 9th game against LSU.
Just for entertainment.
Not just for entertainment. I want to see him against an NFL caliber defense.
Well, we saw it last year against Clemson, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, but he wasn't completely healthy. I need to see him. Give me some adversity so we can silence all these Tua critics. And I don't even care if LSU wins and Joe Burrow, just obliterates him. Good for him. Tua's my guy. But if you do not have the number 1 pick, here's what I would do. 1, I'm trying to trade with Cincinnati, which has made a history of dumb decisions. You can have all 3 of my first-round picks for Tua. I'm sorry. I am that committed and convicted that he is the guy. Now, if I can't get that deal done, I take Chase Young and I call it a day, and I redo this again in 2020.
Wow. You would go through this all again?
You know what?
I don't think it can all mesh this perfectly again. Okay, I just don't think going winless 2 years in a row. Even the Cleveland Browns couldn't do that.
You know what? Maybe I signed Teddy Bridgewater because Teddy Bridgewater going 5-0 with the New Orleans Saints, it proves he has got something. Now, will other teams see that and believe in it? They'll say it's Sean Payton. And I'm like, okay, he won in Minnesota. He outperformed everybody with the Jets. Like, he goes to New Orleans and they say, hey, we can't let you go anywhere else. We want you here. He takes his team, which I believe is a Super Bowl contender, to a 5-0 start. How do you not think that that's something?
Well, here's the question. Can anybody rate quarterbacks? You're going to bring Teddy Bridgewater in a whole different system here, right?
Yes.
And so you've seen.
You mean can anybody here rate quarterbacks?
I'm just saying.
Because I know Sean Payton can rate quarterbacks.
Yes. Okay.
I know Andy Reid can rate quarterbacks.
Okay, exactly. So it's a handful of people who can do that.
You're right.
And it's a magic. Look, who's the best rookie quarterback this year? Gardner Minshew, 6th-round pick. Where are all these geniuses rating all these teams that needed quarterbacks? And all of a sudden, this guy out of nowhere.
You know who can rate quarterbacks? Mike Leach.
Yes, he can. And
your pirate swashbuckler.
I love it. Mike Leach loves Pirates. He loves Key West. We're on the same boat there, right?
You are on the same boat with Mike Leach. And his quarterbacks, hey, man, they're producing.
He knows how to pick them, and he knows. So, look, if I'm the Dolphins, if I'm any scout, I'm going to somebody like Mike Leach and saying, what are we missing? Mm-hmm. What are we missing
what's interesting?
that you got, that you can see?
You know what's interesting? yesterday in the building, I saw David Lee. You remember David Lee? He's master of the Wildcat.
Right.
Not on the Dolphins staff. I saw him in the building. Still won't get any information from the team, but I'm not blind. And he is there working in some capacity. I don't know what it is. Quarterback guru. Hopefully he's there to help them find a quarterback.
They have ramped up the Black Ops portion of the Dolphins here. They got analytics. They got some national analytics working for them. And I didn't know David Lee.
Yeah.
So they got some behind the scenes maneuvering going on.
You know, they're trying to hide what they're doing, but David Lee, I trust his ability to evaluate, and if he's here to help them evaluate and find the next quarterback, 2 thumbs up on tier the 2.
All right, Omar. Daniel has a question. Have you watched Joe Burrow? Does his arm strength scare you?
I don't have a problem with his arm strength. I'm actually turned on by Joe Burrow. I like him. I saw him last year. I first watched him when he beat UM's face in that season opener and in his first ever start. I was like, whoa, there's something to this guy. What makes me a little bit uncomfortable about Joe Burrow is that he doesn't work under center and is very uncomfortable working under center. Well, I think that that's still an element of the NFL. It's not a big element, but 30% of your plays. I am an I formation play action type of guy. I want to run that system. And if you're New England, they run that system as well, so you got to get comfortable.
They can run the system.
They can. Yes.
They run a lot of things.
Yes. They evolve and they do everything.
Right.
But you need a quarterback that can do everything.
But you can look, Joe Burrow. You can get him under center. Okay, that can happen. You're going to bring up instances where that guy didn't do it, but in general, most college quarterbacks these days, either they're going to play out the spread, or he can adapt to learning center. I'm not worried about that.
I am not opposed to Joe Burrow. I'm just not in love with Joe Burrow.
That's what I'm saying. Let the process play out. Breathe it in, Omar.
Dave,
you are so far down.
I have fundamental beliefs and rules about football that I've learned over these 20 years, and the number one thing that I've learned is don't select a quarterback you don't love. I love Joe Burrow.
Here's my rule. Keep taking a quarterback till you get one. And if they had done that,
yeah.
you know what? Chris Greer follows your theory. Don't take a quarterback you don't love. He didn't take Patrick Mahomes because he didn't love him. He didn't take Deshaun Watson because he didn't love him. We can go down the whole list. For how many years have they not taken quarterbacks?
He didn't take Josh Rosen because he didn't love him.
Well, he taught him on the cheap.
Yeah, he took him the second go around. Well, this week brings us to what I call the pinnacle of the season, the Adam Gase revenge game. And oddly enough, the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets, they are in the exact same spot, Dave. They are competing for the number 1 spot because both teams suck.
Do the Jets know they're competing for that spot? I mean, they are, but does Adam Gase know it? Is he aware enough? I think they are still trying to win.
And knowing Gase, he is definitely still trying to win. Should he be?
And knowing Gase, he's not winning. He's not winning.
Yeah. The Jets have had some challenges this season with Sam Darnold's mono, and now he's seeing ghosts. Happy Halloween, Sam. Now there's this feud with Jamal Adams, who is in his feelings because they allegedly listened to trade offers. Not solicited. The GM says, I didn't solicit them, but he listened to trade offers, and now Jamal Adams is like, hey, I would love to play for the Dallas Cowboys.
Everybody listens to trade offers. This is the thing that's a little confusing to me. The question for Jamal Adams is, who leaked that they were listening to trade offers? Was it the Jets to try to get real trade offers?
Or was it Dallas to make
Or was it Dallas? I mean, there's so many. It's like Washington leaked trade offers for their left tackle. You know, New England is offering a first. New England will never offer a first for a 31-year-old left tackle. No chance. And so that was the Washington. So, but the Jets have issues.
Yeah, they do.
That tell of, as Adam Gase, once again, he cannot manage a team. He cannot be a leader of a big team where you got to make big boy decisions. We saw it last year. You know, for instance, Rashad Jones. He never talked to Rashad Jones before the fact that he have a Pro Bowl safety with a great career. You got to talk to him. You got to talk things out. Understand you're on the same
But-
page.
but-
That's one anecdote of a couple seasons with Adam Gase.
I
that
think
were
that's
problems.
I think that's a little extreme. That's not. Adam Gase has some issues.
He can't lead. That's an issue.
No, I disagree. He can lead.
Part of leading
you
is
cannot-
confronting. You got to confront issues, confront players, confront situations. He does not like to do that. He's immature.
Now, that is to me the biggest issue regarding Adam Gase. One, I don't think he can evaluate talent very well, and two, there's an immaturity issue, and there's a loyalty issue. You know, this team quit on him last year in the final month of the season after they got their face beat in by Minnesota, and the main reason that players told me they quit, they pulled the plug, was primarily because they didn't want him back, and they didn't want him back because there was a complete loyalty to Ryan Tannehill, who they felt was part of the problem. And the fact that Tannehill constantly got praised, never criticized, while everybody else got criticism and never praise. And, you know, that's a maturity thing. Gase has to be able to look at himself in the mirror and see, okay, where am I wrong in this situation? But I will stand on firmly entrenched in my position that he will eventually become a good coach when he matures. Now, we just have not seen that maturation getting done.
How many more years are we going to do it? How many more chances?
He might. Look at Belichick. Belichick had to go another decade as a defensive coordinator before he got another opportunity. Okay. Sometimes, you know, Cleveland Browns Belichick is not the New England Patriots Belichick.
Here's my concern with Gase. He's brought in to help quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it happen with the Dolphins.
He propped up Tannehill a little bit. He
managed him. He managed him. Okay, that's not making him better. Okay, it's making the team better. I get that.
I mean,
he did it for 1 year.
Chicken salad out of, you know.
But then his evaluation of quarterbacks is an issue.
Yes.
That's his strength.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, okay. What's gone wrong in the Big Apple, Omar? We have talked about it a little here.
I think you made a great point about how they've spent so much money in free agency, and which is probably why their GM got fired. I mean, he was taking an all-in approach with a new coach. Yes, they are dysfunctional at this point in terms of who is leading that organization, how they're making their decisions. When you fired Todd Bowles, you should have fired the GM too. And you should have started fresh and hired somebody like a Louis Riddick and let Louis Riddick put his thing in place. That's the guy I believe in.
Louis Riddick?
I do believe in Louis Riddick. When he gets his opportunity.
I love Louis Riddick on TV. But he hadn't been on a team since
listen,
2013.
Look at John Lynch. Look at what he's doing with the 49ers right now. Don't knock the people on TV.
Here's what I will say. He's not the one pulling all the strings. Kyle Shanahan's pulling the strings out there.
Oh, I
not
disagree with you.
Oh no.
Oh no. I disagree with you on that one. We'll see. We'll see how, I think it's John Lynch, because the way that team has been assembled and the pieces that have been added and the talent that's there and how it's developing, yeah, I'll give Kyle Shanahan some credit. But you know who put that talent there? Who put that defensive line there? It was John Lynch.
Kyle Shanahan, from what I'm being told, is the power. Just like in New Orleans, and for a while we were saying, well, look at all the great draft picks Jeff Ireland's making. Sean Payton's the one making all the decisions there. So, all right, Omar. Who's the bigger mess, the Dolphin franchise or the Jets franchise? Wow, this is one heaping pile of stench right here, right?
Yeah, I got to make the Jets the bigger mess because, well, while the Dolphins don't have a quarterback, I'm not a big believer in Sam Darnold.
Neither was Adam Gase when he was here.
Yeah. I don't think Sam Darnold's supposed to know that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to say that.
You're not supposed to say that. The magic about Sam Darnold is if you can confuse what he sees before the snap and he doesn't have Gase in his ear, I think you can exploit him. And New England as New England always does, they show you what are your weaknesses. They hold a mirror up to you and say, see, look at you, you're ugly. And you have nothing to argue. And that's what teams have to do. The Dolphins, if they want to win, they got to follow that blueprint and give them a pre-snap look, then switch it right before the snap, and voila, you shall get turnovers.
Sam Darnold's MO, he's going to make a mistake, a big mistake early in the game, and the question is, Sometimes he comes back big after that. Sometimes he goes in the tank. But to me, to answer the question, who's in a better situation, Dolphins or Jets? It's the Dolphins, clearly to me. They have a plan. They are following their plan of assembling draft picks and getting it. Now, will it work? That remains to be seen. But I like that plan better than the Jets, which I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah,
I have no idea at all.
They don't. Neither do they. Neither do they. Marty K wants to know, Tannehill is now 2-0 away from Gase. Darnold is struggling under Gase. What gives? Is it the player or the system being taught?
Well, I'm not going to put Tannehill being 2-0 as some big sample size of what he's done away. He's had 2 good games. One really good game, one really good finish. And give him that. You know, we saw that at times. So we'll have to let that all play out.
Listen.
But I don't put Tannehill's problems here on Gase.
The story of Tannehill's entire career is that he can give you great, and then he can give you mediocre. And when you average it all out, it turns out to average. And that's who he is as a starting quarterback.
Well, here's what I say to Gase. Why didn't you recognize that? Why did you
did.
go
In Indianapolis when he ran 3 straight draws.
He didn't recognize it. He married his career to this guy.
He excused it.
For how many years?
Because he thought he could make him better. He thought, hey, man, I coached Peyton Manning. I called plays. I whispered in his ear. I can make any Gase truly does believe he can make any quarterback better.
You know what? Every coach thinks, I can do something to help. I can save this guy. I can improve this guy. That's part of being a coach. But part of being a great coach is recognizing when you can't do that, and we got to get somebody else.
He thinks that Ryan Tannehill can just be the robot, and he can just use his joystick and code him and make him do the things that he wants him to do. And that's all great and good, but to be an elite player in this league, you need something special. You need a moxie. You need a swagger, like Tua has.
Hey, I'm not off the Tua bandwagon. I'm just saying, we don't have to make a decision yet. Let all the information come.
We can. I mean, and hey, let's talk up Chase Young as the #1 pick.
That's
great. Absolutely.
That's the greatest thing.
No question. Let Chase Young be the #1 pick.
I don't understand people saying, oh my God, Chase Young's really the best talent. Okay. Let somebody else take him, or you can trade down to #2 maybe and give it.
Hey, it's Joe Burrow. He's got all the prototype. Hey, maybe he's the #1 pick. Absolutely. But for me, I know who I want.
All right, Omar. Watch out for Mike has a good one. Who at the midseason point have you seen the most growth from? Good question.
This gets to the positivity that Dave wants to address each week.
Let's make this positive corner. We
haven't
had a
positive corner. Mark Walton, to me, has been one of the most pleasant surprises. And even when you just look at his background, because I did a story on him recently, and I had to actually look up all the crap that this kid has gone throughout his career. And yeah, some of it is self-inflicted wounds, but hey, he's got a lot of
personal things he's come by, family deaths in the family and stuff like that he's come back from. And look, everybody who saw him at University of Miami was rooting for him in the pros. He was a good guy at University of Miami. He went through something last summer where he got arrested 3 times.
Remember, this is the same guy that got harassed by police for an incident involving a woman he was dating. So, yeah, you can kind of connect. If you're harassed by the police, that creates some level of trauma that people are out to get you. So I can understand why I'm running from police all the time.
Here's my, who again to the question, who at the midseason point have you seen the most growth from? It's hard to really find someone who's really stepped up. You can say he's going to be a star. Preston Williams has shown you at times, as you'd expect, up and down, a rookie season, undrafted. To me, I've seen stuff that you say, okay, there could be something special there, and then you see
he's giving you the same level of contribution as Devontae Parker, who was a first-round pick.
Exactly. So, what you hope for in the second half of rookie seasons or young seasons is some consistency.
Raekwon McMillan is a young guy that I think I have been down on. I've been high on, back to being down on. I think that he is a 2-down linebacker. I think that he doesn't necessarily fit what they want to do on defense, but I think he's a good NFL player. I think he's a borderline NFL starter. Now I want to see him trend upwards and show me, hey, I can be an impactful NFL player. I would love to see the Dolphins test him out as a blitzer a little bit more. They had him working on the edge, setting the edge. Show me what he can do as a blitzer. I know what Raekwon McMillan can do, but I don't know what I know what Jerome Baker can do, but I don't know what Raekwon McMillan can do, and I would like to find out.
I agree with you. Does he fit the system? Because remember when Brian Flores and his staff came in there, the first thing they did before any practice was give Jerome Baker play calling duties. He's their guy. He's the type of guy, versatile guy, can do a lot of things.
The focal point of their defense.
Raekwon McMillan, remember, was drafted to be a two-down linebacker. You know, and so
no, he was drafted to be the inside linebacker, not two down. They realized he couldn't really cover.
Okay, well, at some point early on,
yeah. They came to that conclusion, and you know, I don't think to me, and I said this when he was coming out in the draft, he reminds me a lot of Denzel Perryman, former University of Miami linebacker, who's a starter with the Los Angeles Chargers.
But he can cover, can he?
No, he cannot.
No, he can't. Okay.
He's a two-down linebacker, and there is no shame in being a two-down linebacker, but you're probably going to have to be transitioned to the Sam spot, which is kind of dying like the fullback, as opposed to being the inside linebacker, and I would like to see that happen for Raekwon.
All right, Omar, Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
Like Call of Duty, but not spelled. Have you played the new game yet, Omar? Do you play Call of Duty?
No, I do not. My son plays all those games, but I've graduated from that.
Okay, as our final question, which phase of football has improved the most and expect to get better as the season expands?
I feel like I'm a broken record every week when I sit here and I say, man, this offensive line is getting better. And then when I say that, they give up 4 sacks. It's, you know, Daniel Kilgore comes back from his knee injury. He's practicing this week. I don't know if he's going to play, Dave, because, you know, do I really want him to play? I'm going to be a little bit more cautious with Daniel.
Don't play.
But Evan Brome, I'm ready to make him a starter. Not just this season, but I'm ready to use him as a building block for next year. And then you got Julian Davenport coming back from injury. He broke his leg earlier this season. He's beginning practice today. He will probably play November 11th. But here's the reason why the Dolphins made him one of 2 guys coming back from IR, Dave. They got to evaluate him. Do we need 1 OT or do we need 2 OTs? They got to figure this out. Jesse Davis, I think, can do the job at right tackle, but I think he's a star at right guard. And I want him to play right guard. So I need to add 2 tackles.
So here's the good question, which part of the team has improved the most? I don't think anybody's really improved that much. What has improved is the draft booty. That's it. That if you're saying what has improved, it is they have stuck to this plan through hard criticism, through questions.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they have internal debates over what to do. They've stuck to their plan and keep adding. This past week they added again for $4 million. And
they added 2 draft picks.
They added 2 draft
picks. They got rid of their
their
leading rusher and picked up $4 million
Will
contract.
it work out? You got to have complete faith they're going to hit on so many draft picks here. And
Even if you hit on half of them.
Guys, yes, half.
You got to hit on half.
Yeah, but so will it work out? We got to.
Here's the. Do I have belief that Chris Greer is a good drafter? No, I've got too much evidence that provides me that hey, he's not. He's been here for 20 years. But what I do have a belief in, and I say this to you all the time, and I've said this on X's and Omar, and I've said this on Twitter, the people that I like, the people that I respect, the people that I go to guide me on college talent, they all view Marvin Allen, who is the assistant general manager of the Miami Dolphins, as the guy who everybody else goes to in the league. What Marvin Allen says about a prospect is the gospel. And he's now on the Dolphins staff. There's never been a point in history where me covering this team where I can say that with full conviction. Even Bill Parcells was not very good at drafting.
Well, then let's give Chris Greer some credit for
hiring him.
For bringing in him and Reggie McKenzie, guys to backstop, and Jim Caldwell, they hoped would have been here to help coaching and front office, but to backstop a lot of their decisions.
And that's what I like and respect about Chris Greer. While I can't sit here and tell you that he's going to be brilliant in free agency and he's going to be brilliant in the draft, I can tell you that he is an egoless man who surrounds himself with good people and listens to them. And to me, that is good leadership. That is good leadership, to listen, surround yourself with good people, let them do their jobs, and listen. And ultimately, it's going to be Chris Greer who's on the chopping block if this doesn't work.
Well, they're all going to be on the chopping block.
They're all always on the chopping block. But, you know, it's important to surround yourself with good people, and Chris Greer has done that. So now we get to the predictions, Dave. Prediction time. Is this the week Dave Hyde is going to predict a victory for the Miami Dolphins?
It is not the week. I had it written, Dolphins 17, Jets 16, and then I said I can't do it. Jets 17, Dolphins 16. They are so close in just being, again, a smelly pile of this might be the worst game that we're going to see this year.
Whew,
because
wow.
you got a Jets team that's roiling after this trade deadline week.
Yeah.
Internal issues, in addition to on-the-field issues. And you got a Dolphins team that just traded for a guy who can't play just to get a draft pick.
Here's why I do not feel comfortable picking the Miami Dolphins this week. I know Adam Gase, and I know he's petty. And I know this is a revenge game for Adam Gase. Look how he played the Denver Broncos.
Omar, if he wants revenge, does he beat the Dolphins or does he lose to the Dolphins?
That's a good
Losing to the Dolphins would inflict severe pain on them.
Yeah, but I think that there's a smidgen of possibility that Adam Gase gets fired after this year.
Smidgen?
Yeah.
I think there's more than a smidgen.
He could weasel his way out of bad spots.
Other than the owner likes him.
Yeah.
Which it comes down to one person all the time.
But that's what he does. He makes you like him. That's his specialty. That's his trick. That's his magic power. He makes you like him until you realize, hey man, this guy just stabbed me in the back.
And he can't coach.
No, he could coach. He could coach.
I've seen a head coach.
He needs to work on his people skills just a tad. But yeah, he uses you until he has to throw you under the bus.
And so who are you going with?
I'm picking the Jets. Gase needs this. Gase absolutely needs this. As you saw with 3rd and 20, go on ahead. Do what you got to do.
It's going to be a trick or treat game, right, Omar?
Trick or treat.
Which one you're going to grab?
Thank you for watching X's and Omar. Always a pleasure. We will be back to our regularly scheduled time on Wednesday at noon next week.